Before a single arrow flies, the ancient battlefield of Kurukshetra is dead silent. Two massive armies stand perfectly still in the thick fog, just waiting for the order to engage. Standing in the command chariot is Arjuna. He is the most capable, highly trained warrior of his era. And yet, in the final seconds before the clash, he is completely frozen. This diagram illustrates his moral gridlock. Looking across the enemy lines, Arjuna doesn't see a faceless opposition. He sees his own mentors, his grandfather, and his cousins. Every possible action requires him to strike down someone he loves. The psychological weight of that realization triggers a physical collapse. Overwhelmed by sorrow, his hands begin to shake, and his legendary bow slips from his grip, hitting the dusty ground. This is analysis paralysis. It occurs when the brain is presented with a set of choices where every path seems to lead to a significant loss, causing the executive function to shut down. We experience this same biological response today, when a career decision risks our financial security or a personal boundary threatens a close relationship. The fear of the negative outcome locks us in place. Arjuna's collapse on the chariot is a foundational example of emotional gridlock. Breaking out of it requires a calculated intervention in how he perceives reality. His charioteer, Krishna, steps in. He doesn't offer comforting platitudes. Instead, he initiates a cognitive reset designed to break Arjuna's mental loop. Krishna builds his first logical pillar on the nature of existence. He explains that a warrior's weapons only affect the physical body, which is temporary. The soul, however, is permanent and untouchable by weapons. This visual model breaks down Krishna's logic. He separates the fragile material reality on the surface from the indestructible reality underneath. If the core survives regardless of the shell, the permanent loss Arjuna fears disappears from the logic. By removing death as a permanent factor in Arjuna's assessment, Krishna dismantles the primary source of his anxiety. The immediate panic recedes, leaving room for objective reasoning. With the panic cleared, Krishna introduces his second principle, Nishkama karma. Nishkama karma is the practice of executing your required duty with absolute focus, while detaching your ego and desires from the results. This flowchart tracks Arjuna's cognitive error. Routing necessary action through a filter of personal grief creates a dead end. Krishna provides the correction. By routing action away from desires, Arjuna bypasses anxiety, narrowing his focus purely to the execution. This forces an identity shift. Arjuna stops viewing himself as a grieving relative about to hurt his family and accepts his role as a protector of Dharma, the Sanskrit principle of righteous duty. True non-attachment isn't about apathy. It requires you to fully commit your energy to the action in front of you, precisely because you have stopped worrying about the outcome. The dialogue finishes, and the paralysis breaks. Arjuna's doubt vanishes. The physical tremors stop, replaced by a quiet readiness to act. He steps back up, tightening his grip on his weapons. He accepts his position. The conversation they had on that chariot birthed the Bhagavad Gita, a text detailing these principles of duty and action. These principles translate to the modern world because the mechanics of fear haven't changed. Whether the stakes are a Bronze Age battle or a modern financial crisis, the paralysis stems from the ego's attachment to a specific favorable result. The first step in facing a crisis is to strip away your ego, to identify your fundamental duty, your personal dharma. You must separate your fear of being judged or losing status from the task that actually needs to be done. The second step is to execute that duty relentlessly while letting go of anxieties over external judgments. When the internal focus is on the quality of the action rather than the reward, the psychological pressure of the what-if scenario loses its power. When we surrender the desire to control the future and focus purely on taking the right action in the present, we break the loop of doubt. The results follow the action.